slay the dragon.
Doctor, I am arresting you for the murder of Queen Perpagillium.
Welcome, Doctor Who fans and Big Finish fanatics, once again to another Doctor Who Big Finish audio review. And today we're taking a look at another monthly range story, which is, well, it's not the most recent one now, but it is The Widow's Assassin. So yeah, I'll obviously do my normal procedures where I go over the booklet, read the blurb, look inside, and then say my overall thoughts and opinions on the story. But yeah, my schedule's changed a little bit. For Widow's Assassin, the Doctor's Tale will be featured on the Saturday, which will, well, it's Friday today, but this video will be recorded on the Saturday, and then Moonflash and Dark Eyes 3 on the Sunday to wrap up November. So let's take a look at The Widow's Assassin. So the cover art, we have Peri, or Queen Peri, as we would say, and it's quite hard to know what these characters are actually called, but I think one of them is called Yakanos, if I remember correctly, and another one is called Mandrake, and the other is called Flittimus. Yeah, I don't know which one is which, unfortunately, because it's, you know, it's audio and you don't know which one's speaking, but they're all the names of the characters on here, but I just don't know which one's which. But yeah, Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant, Widow's Assassin by Nev Fountain, and Nev Fountain's always been very strong on his characters, so I was obviously, everyone was expecting it to be a very good character story. So it's Big Finish, full cast audio drama. Doctor Who The Widow's Assassin, which is 192. And the back, written by Nev Fountain, directed by Ken Bedley, 120 minutes approx. And the blurb. Once long ago, in the land of monsters and corridors, a fair maiden was captured and placed in a deep sleep. She was used to be captured, and she had a hero who rescued on her just such occasions. But this time the hero never came, and the fair maiden slept on. Eventually a king rescued the maiden, and made her his bride, which many wise old women may tell that it's just another way of capturing fair maidens. And still the fair maiden slept on. Sounds like something from a novel. Then the hero had another stab at rescuing the maiden from the prison, but he was too late, and more importantly, he had forgotten the rules of fairy tales. He didn't slay the dragon. So there's the cast. So we open it up. We have disc 1, what was part 1, 2, 3. I think this one opens this way. Yes, that was correct. And then parts 3 and 4, some other Colin Baker audios, such as the ones from the very old ones, Whispers of Terror, Ish and the Reaping, and some newer ones like Space Race, and Breaking Bubbles, and other stories. And so that's the cover. And director's notes from Ken Bedley, behind the scenes of all the brilliant people at Big Finish, all featured in the story. Writer's notes, which continues over here with Doctor Who magazine. Next installment, which I really cannot wait to listen to. A lot of people say it's a brilliant dark story. And there's the credits, and then if you want to flip it over for the classic the Six Doctors logo, that's up to you. Again, I love the new chrome silver Doctor Who logo. Now has changed now from the 50th anniversary logo, which I do love it. To my overall thoughts and opinions on The Widow's Assassin. The Widow's Assassin is a very good character piece of a story, some very good heart motion scenes in this story as well. Very 80s styles monsters from the 80s, like Vengeance from Varos and Mind Warp as well. And of course they have a very funny attitude, some of the monsters, but of course are very devious in some places and menacing. So I'm going to go on why I like The Widow's Assassin. So what I like about The Widow's Assassin, but some of the character writing or the dialogue is just brilliant, and it's really a heart feeling in some places. If you did not know, something quite big happened in Scavenger, which was a Colin Baker audio. Something big happened in that one, which I will not say what it was, but it really did affect his life pretty much. And then this one features right after Scavenger to meet Peri once again, which features after Mind Warp. If you did not know that, it's sort of a spoiler, but I think everyone knows that now, that it's not Peri's last story. But yeah, the Doctor pretty much wants to apologise for pretty much abandoning Peri, and and of course Peri doesn't act like her normal self in this, and it gets resolved why, but again I will not say. And then Peri pretty much orders the Doctor into the cells, and the Doctor doesn't go to escape, even though the guards, are trying to make him escape pretty much by leaving the cell doors, but he refuses to escape even though the cell door is actually open and he knows it. But he stays in this whole cell for 5 years just to pretty much get out that apology that the Doctor actually feels extremely sorry for Peri for what he has done, so he stays in a cell for 5 years even though it's actually open to make his escape. And that is just some brilliant and passionate writing, and I absolutely love it. That was so brilliant and beautiful. And again, part 1 and 2 are just like narration from one of the characters, and again it's a nice little touch to the story as well, making it a very fairy tale sort of story, but again with some great characters. Again, something big happens in the story where Peri is poisoned in this story, and even though it looked like it was by the Doctor, since he was the one who poured the drink to poison Peri. Of course he did not do it because the Doctor would never do sort of thing, but someone deliberately tried to blame him. And then you have to look in all these sort of characters, and it's basically a robots of death sort of thing, that who did the poisoning and who was it, and we get to see which character actually did it and all that. And yeah, it feels like a robots of death mystery sort of feel, which I do really like about the story. But then unfortunately in part 2 I don't like how it's really resolved. Unfortunately, it wasn't what I was expecting it to be, in a bad way, but what the overall revolution of the story is just not what I was expecting. Part 3, again, it was quite slow and a bit tedious in places, but still the characters, again, pulled off the story because it was so engaging, but can be a very talky story in some places. That's something you do have to get used to, unfortunately, because there's a lot of dialogue. It's very heavy on dialogue, but some people will like that, since Nev felt it makes so much interesting characters, and that's what keeps the story strong. And then to the overall revolution and the ending of the story, it's rather confusing and very hard to process what's actually going on. You've got to pay full attention to this audio to actually get what is going on throughout the story. So yeah, and there is a very good reference to Sutek in this story, and it just gave me chills because it makes me think of a Sutek Big Finish audio for some reason. But there was a little reference to what the Doctor's faced in the past, his greatest enemies, what the most powerful enemies he's ever faced, and he also faces a very powerful enemy in this as well. But again, it gets rather confusing with different characters all playing different roles. It is so confusing in some places, but if you really do listen carefully and properly, you will get it. I won't take long breaks when listening to this one, because you really need to remember what happens, or you would just get so confused and you'll probably hate the audio. But overall, in my opinion, it's a fantastic audio, very fairy tale-ish, but some brilliant characters, really funny and very in-depth as well. And yeah, it was brilliant. And then I like the ending as well, where Peri gained the trust again, but I won't say how, because it's actually quite big how actually she did that. Again, I can't spoil it, even though I want to, but I can't. You just have to wait and see. And yeah, this one does feature with Widow's Assassin, Masters of Earth, and Leviathan the Leech. And I wouldn't say you need to listen to this trilogy in order, but you can if you want to. It's a nice addition to have in the Big Finish collection, and I would definitely recommend it. If you want to know what happened to Peri after Mind Warp, that's where I would definitely recommend it. So thank you very much for watching the review on the Widow's Assassin. I rate it a 7 out of 10. A brilliant audio. Sometimes it can be very talky on its dialogue and confusing a lot of places, but still it was a good audio. I don't really dislike it that much really, but it's probably because it's very heavy on dialogue, but the characters redeem it as well. It can be very confusing, but overall brilliant story. I'll see you next time, which will be today if this is on Saturday, for a review of The Doctor's Tale.
Doctor Who, The Widow's Assassin.
Once, long ago, in the land of monsters and corridors, a fair maiden was captured and placed in a deep sleep. She was used to being captured, and she had a hero who rescued her on just such occasions.
Hello, Peri.
Hello, Doctor.
I appear not to have been invited to your wedding.
No, you weren't.
But this time the hero never came, and the fair maiden slept on.
Don't tell me. You've left another of your companions for dead, and you came to persuade me to rejoin you in your travels because you felt a bit lonely?
And still the fair maiden slept on.
Right at this moment, things are very pressing. I'll explain later.
Not this time, Doctor. You'll explain now. Right here, right now.
Then the hero had another stab at rescuing the maiden from her prison, but he was too late, and more importantly, he had forgotten the rules of fairy tales.
Wolsey, let me explain the rules, because you seem to have forgotten them. Peri is the queen. I am her unpardoned prisoner, and you are my jailer.
He didn't slay the dragon.
Doctor, I am arresting you for the murder of Queen Perpagillium.